Tom Lee just said that it will happen shortly. Secretary Besson says the government is going all out. And Brad Garlinghouse just explained something that you are extremely interested in. Hey, pretty people, peaceful money makers, we're going to talk about Bitcoin, XRP, and the crypto market. All I want from you is a big smile to send out those lovely, positive vibrations. Hit it. To hit the like button because you know likes are free. I neglected to turn off all my things so you can hear things. Time for technical problems? Let's get started. First, Secretary Besson will discuss on the Trump administration. Let's listen. What did he say? A lot of digital assets. The Trump administration has made digital assets a top priority. The last administration launched a lot of these businesses and almost killed them off, sending them overseas. We intend to use the strictest US rules and anti-money laundering AML requirements on digital assets, notably stablecoins. And, I've seen projections that stablecoins may produce $2 trillion of demand for US treasuries and treasury bills in a short amount of time. In other words, the number is probably about $300 billion right now. The stablecoins might get $2 trillion. We talked about this morning about the largest banks, 4 of them. We discuss about how we might be getting into the stablecoin business. Ripple is, of course, quite popular in Japan and in the stablecoin space. We discussed about new stablecoins that have been made for local currencies in Brazil, Singapore, and other countries in the last few days. So it will be extremely interesting to see how this entire stablecoin thing goes. We need to enact the Genius Act in Congress, of course. The administration can be very, very excited about an idea, but there are some things they can't do that have to go through, all the channels. It will be very interesting to see what happens next. I don't know whether you missed the video from previously. There is a problem with YouTube. I can't tell if you liked the video earlier because it just says 0 views. I don't know what's going on there, though, but I don't know how many of you saw that. But we spoke about why the markets went down a little and what Trump said about the EU tariffs. As you can see, the markets are down a bit. XRP has gone down a tiny bit. Now it's $2.33, which is down 4%. Bitcoin is also down almost 3% to $1,108,409. Ethereum is also down 4%. XRP is down like the rest of the crypto market. If you look at the daily chart, it's notable that the stochastic RSI changed from being at the top to being near to the bottom. And if we look at Bitcoin, it's moving in a strange way. It sort of looks like an elephant. I have no idea. Not really. In a way, like an elephant. What do you call it in English? Not a hose? Please tell me in the comments area. Keep it real. That's right. It's not as schmeckel. The nose. Isn't that right? What do you call it in English? I forgot. But trunk. So you don't have to do any writing. I know that people will still leave comments. So it'll be interesting to see what occurs here on the weekends. You can tell that meme coins are going down a little bit. Bread is down 15%, and Floki is down 7%. Where is Doge, about 6%. So meme coins go up by 7%. Meme coins are taking a significant knock right now, and it will be fascinating to see what happens over the weekend. It's a day off. Is that right? The weekend of Memorial Day. A lot of you will be grilling and hanging out with friends and family without being with them. So the US is going to have very little liquidity, perhaps Europe or Asia. Yes, cash flow. But most of the motions that happen on the weekend are phony So things could move a lot on Saturday and Sunday, and then on Monday, everything sells off. So you need to be really careful out there, all right? We have already learned. This week, I was aware of this. Is that right? But in the last few days, there have been two significant examples of how the market may turn against us in an instant, and we can't do anything about it. And, I always advise to be ready and have a strategy, but that's more for long-term investing. You need to have a plan for short-term investing, but you also need to be quick and flexible. You should think about whether day trading is right for you. If you can't be on the market all the time, which none of us can, day trading is for fighter pilots. Only the top percent of the top percent of people can do it. And it's not for everyone, as you can see from the tale I told you about Sui. And today, when Trump suddenly said 50% on the EU, that changed the market completely, and we couldn't have seen it coming. That's right. So, once more, it's very, very important to remember, and as always, this is not financial advice. Do your own research before you decide to invest. I can't tell you to purchase, sell, or hold, since I don't know what's going to happen. All of a sudden, Trump was a hack. Then this, then that. It's hard to guess what's going to happen. From day to day, okay? If someone else tells you they do, run away, because they don't. They don't know, okay? A lot. Trump also commented that this is interesting. They talked about Apple getting a tax. He also claims that Samsung items will have a tariff if they aren't made in the US. Well, the majority of them are still in South Korea. Is that right? This comes just a few hours after you put the same tariff on iPhones. Today is the first day that President Trump is putting tariffs on certain companies. It looks like this is going to keep happening. And pay attention. That's fine if everyone has the same chance. Is that right? Apple, Samsung, and Chinese corporations all have tariffs. So if things go well, they all have tariffs. So that merely means that if the phone isn't built in the US, it will cost a little more. But at least everyone can play. It could take a while for these phones to fall down in price in the US. You might be in some pain, and you might not be upgrading your iPhone out every year like most people do. I don't know anything else about the world. In my area, phones used to be really costly, but then a lot of Chinese phones came in, and the prices fell down a little. But iPhones and Samsungs are still relatively pricey here. So, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with it. Brad Garlinghouse just talked about ETFs. Let's hear what he had to say. I'm wounded, but I'm also happy that I was ignored for years before I got here. Now I'm here. Hey, my name is Brad Garlinghouse. This is Crypto in a Minute. 1 minute on why people are enthusiastic about crypto ETFs. I believe there are two main things going on here. One is that institutional investors, or investors who mostly trade on Wall Street, haven't been able to directly access crypto for a long time. They could either keep their own money or sign up with an exchange. But some individuals don't like centralized exchanges for a lot of reasons. This was the first time that institutions could go directly to Wall Street and trade in crypto. For a few reasons, this is an unlock. For capital that couldn't come in, like an endowment, a pension fund, or even mutual funds that couldn't get to crypto, now they can. The second point is that it actually is making the whole crypto industry more like a business. I don't believe it's surprising that the Bitcoin ETF was the fastest ETF ever to reach $1 billion in assets. I also think it got more than $10 billion in assets faster than anyone else. And I think we'll finally get close to the gold ETF today. which is in 1 minute. So Brad didn't give us anything new. But why did I tell you this? It's very interesting that they would ask him to teach ETFs while the XRP ETFs are behind schedule. Again, this isn't something to worry about, but it looks like we might be very close to getting an XRP ETF. I don't think Brad has any inside information from the SEC, but I have been very, conspiracy theory about what's going on with BlackRock and whether or not they will finally get an XRP TF file. I believe they will. I believe it's only a question of time. I believe they will come around to the notion. The question is, what will the price of XRP be when it happens? And if the market is they want, from a black product stand-up view, they would ideally like to come when the market is hot, but not too hot. People don't want to enter the market if the prices are too high. But if there's momentum, but not too much momentum, when they start trading XRP ETFs, spot ETFs, of course not futures, but we're talking about spot XRP, spot ETFs, then you want to be somewhere in the middle where people think it will go up, but also that it's not too high, not too expensive. Of course, it's quite hard to record that exact moment, but it will be really intriguing to see what happens. What did Tom Lee